All right. This is my kind of not my final summary of Lovecraft Country, but it's continuing a commentary that I made about Lovecraft in my presentation. So I'm trying to work on my theory right now, but that's what blogs are for. They're not necessarily finalized presentations. But on this one, I'd like to talk about some of the expanded reasons why I think Lovecraft's theology is problematic for black people. Not the show Lovecraft Country, but the primary theology of Lovecraft. Now, if you watch Lovecraft Country, you will be more familiar with what I'm talking about, because I'm going to use examples in the show to illustrate what I'm talking about. Because the themes in the show were based on a book written about Lovecraft's full universe and his theology. Now, again, this doesn't really have to do with Lovecraft being racist, although his racism may be the root cause for him going in a totally opposite direction than, I guess, existing theologies, okay? Sometimes white supremacists try to complete white supremacy. When I say that, give you an example. You hear the dark is bad, white is good. And that's a total reversal from many of the theologies in early human civilizations. Native American culture, African culture, cities in Africa, in Kemet were named, Kemet itself is named black land. Black is a puring presence of everything. Color, by definition, by scientific definition, the whole idea that black is bad is a bad reputation that black gets, right? It's a human construct. I mean, there's no physical evidence to prove any of that, right? But so when you have things like that, those are some of the things that white supremacists put together to show negative elements in their stories and apply it to racism. It's like devil's food cake and angel's food cake. It's nothing to do with food cake. One is chocolate and one is either vanilla or another flavoring, but nothing has to do with the devil and nothing has to do with angels. It's just pure racism where those names come from. So in the show Lovecraft Country, there's 4 elements that I'm going to just really highlight right now. One is, and I'll name them, okay? First, you have the view of the dead, the ancestors, okay? That is throughout all of Lovecraft. Then there's the view of magic, right? That's through all of Lovecraft's theology. Then you have celestial beings, aliens, again, a running theme through Lovecraft, right? And then this new one that's in his books, we don't really talk about it so much, but again, it is the view of sex. I'll say that again, the view of sex. In the African, well, I say African culture because they all rooted in Egyptian culture, but more so in Egyptian culture because it's still around, I'll use that. Sex is called the act of reproduction, the act of gosh, I'm going to say coming forth by light, but I know I'm wrong in that exact wording and translation. But there's something greater to the act of reproduction that they call it, and I can't remember what the saying is, but I'm a student of Dr. Joseph Ben Yachanan, right? And he's my premier Egyptologist although now I'm learning from Dr. Reggie, my brother, and Dr. Leonard Jeffries and James Small. All right. So when we talk about that, we have to look at it from those four areas, right? There's another area of monsters, and I'm not going to talk about that this time because these four. So the contrast with H.P. Lovecraft is everything dead, right, is bad. Now, in the TV show Lovecraft Country, one of the significant dead characters was a Native American hermaphrodite who was male and female, right? However, Lovecraft Country, written, the TV show, written, I guess, rescripted and reimagined by an African American, practically tried to reverse everything as an almost way to be unique, right? And they did, and it was cool because it was like everything that the characters were taught to believe was proved wrong and used in a totally opposite way than what it was meant to be. And that's beautiful in the sense because that's the way it really is for African Americans. We've been scared, or we've been made to fear our own African theologies, right? So we as African Americans are hypocritical in our beliefs, right? We believe that our uncles and our grandmothers and our elders, when they die, they come back and they do good things to us. They protect us. Where do we get that from? We don't get it from Christianity. Christianity says Jesus and the Lord will protect you. It doesn't say ask your grandmother to look over you. That's African. Now, Lovecraft will teach you, or in his theology, the dead are meant to do bad things. They are cursed. Heck, dead things touch you and your arm dies, right? So in Lovecraft Country, the African rewriters, right? I can't remember all their names. The script writers, the directors, the producers, whatever, decided to change that and make it reversible. But Lovecraft still puts that base theology that we all should think the dead are bad. And oh snap, surprise, they're not bad, okay? That's one. And then the next one is this overall magic, right? This overall element of magic. I think they called it the Book of Spells in Lovecraft Country, right? And the Book of Spells was something that was so bad, the family hid the book forever. And don't ever look at this book. You know, in Lovecraft, H.P. Lovecraft's theology, he has the Necronomicon. He's made up a name, but the sub-name of the Necronomicon is the Book of Dead, or the Dead. They get that from Egypt again, right? Egypt again has the Book of Coming Forth by Light, right? They translate it as the Book of Dead because dead sounds so scary. But really, if you look at another translation, the Book of Ancestors, the Book of Previous Experiences, the Book of Previous People, those are also accurate translations for it because it wasn't written in English, okay? So in Lovecraft Country, this Book of Spells is supposed to be so bad they had to hide it. But in the TV show, the black rewriters rewrote it so that way something, surprise, right? Just like with the dead, surprise, the Book of Spells can be used for good. Holy moly. But in reality, Africans, throughout all their theology, even as modern as voodoo or voodoo, have a good use for things that are magic. Or what is magic? Magic is science that we don't understand. That's really all it is. Can my mind communicate with somebody else's mind without words and eye movements and physical stuff? Magic would say, if it does happen, it's magic. Science just can't prove it yet. So all of those things that we can't prove with science, we call magic. And Western culture has been doing that since the beginning of time. There's cultures that don't have a word for magic because they didn't know They didn't have things they didn't know. You know, I know that sounds crazy, but they had an explanation for everything. It may not be the scientific explanation that Western science needs, which is biochemical stuff. It still translates to, do you understand it? Okay, you understand it. We're good. Can you use it? Yes, you can use it. All right, that's good. The third thing, celestial beings, right? Lovecraft is big on scaring you to like the War of the Worlds. Hell, these aliens is going to come down and wreak havoc on us, destroy the earth. Oh my God, this War of the Worlds is Independence Day. This is all Lovecraftian, right? Aliens, there's nothing good in outer space. Thanos, that's it. You ain't going to meet nobody that's going to come and help you. If they are, they're being oppressed too, and they're running the earth like brother from another planet. They're Vulcans fleeing. They ain't the ones that's dominant. Space is dominated by bad things. In Lovecraft, they tried again. Surprise, Afro alien, and she's out to help you, and you can use her. Hippolyta used that celestial being in time travel. They even use time travel positively. And in Lovecraft, all those things are used and do bad things. Nothing good. It's a butterfly effect. Ain't nothing good coming out of time travel. However, they figured something out in Lovecraft because these are black rewriters. All right, kudos. And then the last one is sex, and we really bit into this because there's succubuses and all these other characters and creatures that use sex as a life-stealing ability. The lady in Lovecraft Country had it so bad she didn't even want to do it, and she was cursed with it. It was so bad, it was a curse, So now, again, when we look at Egypt, Kemet cities, Native American culture, many of them have women on such a high pedestal that even sex is Kama Sutra. It's healing, right? The opposite of killing is healing and building you. So they're so far from the opposite of it. This succubus in an African construct gives life. It's not only where life comes from, it can heal the life and correct it. Now, again, I'm just saying these are things that are problematic in H.P. Lovecraft's theology, not the TV show. The TV show has a fun time playing games with it and restructuring some of that stuff. But I used to say for African writers, African American writers, don't read Lovecraft. The reason why I say it, and I still say it, is because we have to start thinking outside of the Western box. Our box, as you can see, illustrated by these 4 areas, is opposite from the European box. And we have to go down those. You understand what I'm saying? I wrote a good ghost story. I found a way to make it scary. But I'm not demonizing ghosts. My grandparents and my parents are good ghosts. I don't know no bad ghosts. They're just like regular people. So if you talk to any paranormal investigators, that's exactly what they'll tell you. So it's the same thing we got to do. I did it with my book. It happened on Negro Mountain. We need to have a good alien story, right? And it still can be gripping. It still can be scary, whatever the hell alien stories are supposed to be. We got to have a magic story where magic isn't bad, right? And then we got to have a story about some sexual use. I'm going to try to incorporate these things in my stories because now I see the importance of them. And I didn't really understand this before. I was just a happy African writing my stories, African American, and, haphazardly running around. Now I'm focusing more, and I'll make sure I make an effort to not follow destructive tropes, okay? Because if these things are the truth, then doing the opposite is destructive. And that hence brings in the white supremacist element. If you're H.P. Lovecraft and you find that this theology is so powerful that it makes the people powerful, you don't like them because you're jealous of them, you're fearful of them, fear of, genetic annihilation. You want to destroy the people and everything about the people. So therefore, you will destroy their theology and reverse engineer their theology to get them to hate the things that make them great. So if the things that make us great is our appreciation from the ancestors, our science that they can't explain, our relationship to celestial beings, and our use of sex, then learning the Western H.P. Lovecraft influenced theology will destroy us. Anyway, that's that. And it's not even only a black thing, because we all Africans, okay? And it's not even a thing that you got to believe. Maybe it's just good research for you. All I know is I'm pointing it out, and I recognize it. All right, deuces, peace.